Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Bryce is Right. I am Brycearonee, and I believe in promoting positive atheism and secular humanism. Today, I have on another popular secular atheist, humanist, social media personality. He is your friendly neighborhood atheist, also known as Ethan Micheal. Ethan is a podcaster who runs the Your Friendly Neighborhood Atheist podcast. Coincidence? The link for that is in the description below, by the way. And also his YouTube channel, or should I say his primary YouTube channel, YFNA, it has over 2,700 subscribers. So he's very active on social media. He's also on Twitter and Twitch and Facebook and pretty much every other kind of social media platform I can think of. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Ethan Micheal, your friendly neighborhood atheist. What's going on, Ethan?
Not much. Yourself?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great. Thank you for appearing.
Oh, thanks for considering me. And I'll repeat in what I said to you in the green room on camera. It
Okay.
uh it's an honor to be here, but I'm
You
also
started
very
saying it. I'm sorry. You started saying it. I interrupted you on purpose because
yes.
I have a response to that. But go ahead.
Okay. So I am nervous to be here. I watch a lot of your commentary on Facebook and all these groups, and you are so intelligent, so knowledgeable, and so well spoken that I was like, I don't know how much I can offer this man in a conversation because he's brilliant. So I'm a fan.
Now, I have to say, first of all, I'm very flattered by that. I appreciate the comments, but one, you don't have anything to be nervous about. You are a seasoned professional. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think you've been doing this longer than I have, So we're pretty benign over here. So just kind of relax and let your hair down. There's not going to be any hardball questions. And the other thing is, I'm quite the fan of yours. One of the reasons I wanted to have you here is because I watched a lot of your content and I'm just a fan of the way that you present yourself as an atheist. I think it debunks a lot of the ideas that theists have said about atheists or the
Mhm.
positions they hold, and you don't really fit that stereotype. In fact, you portray us in a very positive light. So I wanted to invite you on and to figure out a little bit more about you, to introduce the audience more to you, and yeah, I think we'll have a good conversation. So
I appreciate that. I definitely try my hardest to be as positive as possible. Not perfect. I had my moments, but I always think the friendly way is the way to be because I do want to set a positive example.
now, I'm curious, before we get into exactly what you do and why you do it, I want to ask you, how are you personally? Like, how is everything lately? What's going on with you in the world? We're not really post COVID, but you know, COVID is kind of we're not talking about it as much anymore. So maybe that's a
Right.
good thing. How is life for you?
Life's going well. So I'm actually in the process. Like right now, I've taken a small break from my channel. So I've been not like appearing on any shows or doing anything for the past month, excluding one appearance on that GD show. I was filling in for Dave Warnock yesterday, but other than that, I've been taking some time away to kind of rebuild my life, which I could get into later if you want. Just
Sure.
because I had some issues in the past and I never fully focused on them and resolving them. So now I'm trying to put as much effort into my personal life that I was my YouTube channel because essentially I was doing a lot and constantly working on it in all my spare time. And it's like
Yes,
almost
I've
spending,
noticed.
yeah, almost spending so much time on it that I'm not focused on my personal life. And I'm like, yeah, this is too much. I got to get back to, you know, rebuilding my life.
Yeah, I've learned that as well. You can't really let it consume you, and it's very easy to get caught up in
It
that,
is.
So for those of you who don't know you, and I can't imagine who those people would be, but
I'm not that
presumably
famous.
there's a few watching who may not know you. Remind us who is Ethan Micheal in terms of your background. Where are you from? Where did you grow up? And like, how are you raised? What's your worldview? That sort of thing.
Sure. I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, Illinois, for most of my life. I lived in Mexico for about a year of my life. Not very fun. Didn't enjoy that. Was very happy to get back to America. But I was raised Christian, but super uber conservative Republican. Like,
Mm.
I was handed a Limbaugh letter at age 12. He was the idol my entire family, including myself, looked up to. I wanted to be a conservative podcaster just like him, so I could own those damn liberals and, show them the right way. Uh,
Wow. I never would have guessed.
oh, dude, I was a jackass. Like,
Okay.
very, I had my homophobic traits. I had my transphobic traits. Um, I was
Pretty much all the
very,
standard things coming from the right, it seems like the
yes, and
standard playbook.
completely anti-progressive in every way.
Mm.
God, guns, all that nonsense. Keep prayer in schools. Um,
Now you said you were raised religious, right?
I was raised Christian, but I wasn't raised like an uber Christian. Most of my indoctrination came from conservative ideology.
I see. So how does that gosh, where do I even go from there? So how do you go from that to where you are? Because I kind of get the sense from, listening to the way that you talk and the issues that you focus on that you've gone in the opposite direction, not just with your theological beliefs, but really with your political beliefs. You strike me as someone who is much more on the conservative side now. So how does that happen?
Wait, you think I'm conservative?
I'm sorry, progressive is what I meant to say.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm
No, no,
definitely
no. You strike me as someone who's much more on the progressive side. So how did you get out of the conservatism to get to where you are?
sure. So I remember this day really well. I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, okay, I think I have it all figured out, but half of the population in the US seems to disagree with my opinion. Maybe there's a middle ground. Maybe there's something I'm missing or not understanding. I need to learn more. And if anything, that'll give me the opportunity to better understand the left and debunk their arguments.
Mm.
So I forced myself to start listening to more liberal news. And I
And when you
was
say
so
liberal news, just to clarify, because people have different ideas about what news is liberal. So what would you have considered liberal news at the
okay.
time of this
So
process?
I hated the Young Turks. I started listening to the Young Turks all the time.
Okay, fair enough.
Um,
I listen
and
to them now, but
yeah, no, they're good. They have their issues, but I
yeah,
enjoy them.
no, none of them are perfect. None of them are
No,
perfect,
of course not.
but I do enjoy watching them.
Yeah. So and I was listening to it, I was so angry. Like, I was constantly in my head, like, "What are these people thinking? What's wrong with them?" But I just kept listening, and I stumbled across the atheist experience,
Mhm.
and I start listening, and I'm like, "Man, this host on here is such an asshole," but I can't stop listening to him,
All right.
and
Does his name begin with
I'm
M?
not saying
And
names.
okay, fair enough. I think
Um
I may know who you're talking about.
Probably. But
Okay.
I couldn't stop listening because he made so much sense,
Mhm.
and it was appealing to me. And, there's times I'd be sitting there, like, yelling back, like, arguing, but he kept, like, getting him and a couple other hosts, like, just kept making more and more sense. And I was getting to a point, like, I was always into believing in God. I was always curious. Um I did go to a Catholic junior high also. But I remember like when I started to try to figure out what my reasons were for believing in God, essentially it boiled down to, hey, I don't know. What
Mhm.
else could it be? Therefore, God. And
Yeah.
once I learned about fallacies and the ones I was making, I'm like, holy shit. Like, I don't have a good reason to believe in God at all. Like, this makes sense to me. And it was a very quick transition. Like, it didn't take
Mm.
much time for me to go from Christian to atheist. It was almost instantaneous because I figured out what I was doing wrong. The removing the conservative indoctrination still to this day is definitely a struggle.
Well, let me
Especially
come back to that because I feel like that's gonna be the more interesting part. Just in sticking with the religious deconversion for a moment, we are the Atheist Network Group, by the way, in case you guys didn't wondering. Hey, guys, like and subscribe, the Atheist Network Group. Okay, and sticking with your deconversion for a moment, you said it was, like, very simple for you, like, almost happened overnight. Did
yes.
you ever, I'm comparing your version with my experience, and for me, I was an online apologist, and so I was like actively trying to like, you know, own the atheists, and but not really own. I was trying to do it in a nice way and come up with the most reasonable explanations, and I spent so much time doing that, and it was a little bit painful for me when I transitioned out of it. I remember it being similarly fast, maybe not as fast as you mentioned yourself, but it was pretty fast, but it was kind of scary for me when I came out of it. I felt like I lost something. So, did you have that same sensation when you realized you didn't believe in God anymore?
No, I'm one of the lucky ones. Like, it was pretty instantaneous. I would say the only difficult part for me was I had to grieve my brother's death all over again, because then I'm like, "Holy shit, there's no heaven. I'm
Yeah.
never gonna see my brother again." Oh, sorry, can I swear?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll
On
hold.
this show you can, because Oz cusses all the time, way more than I do, and it's his network, and if he's cool with it, so anyone on here, I don't censor language on this show. On the
I
other
mean, I
one,
don't
we do
cuss
a little
much
bit.
as is, but I don't wanna say anything if,
No, you're good.
it's not a channel. So, oh, I have ADHD and I just lost my train of thought. Oh,
Um
yes. Okay. So, accepting that I would never see my brother again was probably the most difficult part, because that was just like, poof, it's gone. I accepted it
mhm,
almost instantaneously that I'd never get to hug him again, and it absolutely sucked, and that's where the biggest struggle came in. I'm one of the lucky ones in the sense that I didn't have a fear of hell. I don't still have nightmares about it. It was just like, hey, you're making this mistake. You're not thinking accurately. Here's the correct way to think. And it was like,
mhm.
cool. I'm good with this. I don't need a God. I see no reason at all to believe in one, and I've never looked back.
Well, that's good news that your transition out of, from theism to atheism, or and I'm assuming you do use you use the label in your the title of your podcast, so I'm assuming you identify as atheist, right?
Yeah,
I don't
I'd say agnostic atheist to be specific, but yes, I try to normalize atheist atheist awareness as much as possible.
Okay.
Normalize the word atheist as much as possible.
Sure. I only ask because a lot of people have different, labels. Sometimes they use the label, sometimes they use multiple ones. Fine. I think that what I was going to ask you, your transition from, out of the theology you were raised in seemed relatively painless, minus
Mhm.
that, having to learn how to grieve. But when it comes to, and I think I interrupted you, you were about to start talking about your political transition. That seems like it was more difficult for you or took a much longer time. How was that?
Absolutely. Because while I kept learning, like, deconstructing, it was a slow process. Like, I still look back on some of my Facebook posts from like 2017 and 18. That's when I kind of started to begin to swing left. So it
Mhm.
took probably about 2 more years after becoming an atheist to really start letting go of that conservative nonsense I believed.
Do you
Um,
keep those Facebook posts up there?
Absolutely. I don't take anything down. In
Yeah.
fact, there's times I'll take screenshots and I'll reshare and be like, "This is the shit I used to say," like, or I'll correct and be like, "Well, I used to believe this. This is what I believe now."
Mhm.
Um, I
Yeah.
don't hide anything. Like, if someone wants to look up past Facebook posts, you will absolutely find sexist comments, homophobic comments, transphobic comments. I While I'm ashamed of it, I'm not going to hide it. That's who I was. That's not who I am now. And I firmly believe people can change and should be given second chances. Should people be held accountable for the things they say? Absolutely. But should we cancel someone permanently because of who they used to be? No.
So that's a lot of things that you mentioned. Did you find yourself changing your beliefs or changing your perspective on all of those things at the same time, or was it like one after another? Was it like a domino effect? How does that happen when you have very conservative principles, you have religious ideas, you have homophobic ideas, sexist ideas, I don't know if you said racist or not, but you have these different thoughts. Do they all disappear through the same deconstruction process, or does one lead to another?
It was definitely a process. I mean, in the sense it was, yes, totally a domino effect, but it wasn't instantaneous. It was like I had to force myself to really deconstruct each opinion or belief I had one at a time. Like, wow, I've been believing this my whole life. And I don't have a good reason to believe that at all. Or, wow, I listened to so much conservative news that I bought into all this false liberal propaganda of things liberals want that they don't actually want because I
Mhm.
listened to Rush Limbaugh and Fox News and Bill O'Reilly. Oh man.
Yeah.
That's,
So
so
go ahead. I'm gonna switch the camera angle because I know you said a little while ago that you were nervous, and I like doing that at the beginning, but I don't like keeping people on the spot. So carry on.
oh yeah. So I just continued to listen to liberal news while still listening to conservative news. And I still, even though it's difficult at times, I still try to listen to conservative news. I do get irritated when I'm just like, God, you're lying, or that's not true. You're not representing us correctly. You're straw manning us. Like,
Mhm.
but I still try my best to understand the right as much as possible, especially since I used to be one, because I want to help change people's minds. Like, a lot of my friends think I'm foolish and naive to think that we can change conservatives' minds, but I use myself as an example. Like, if I was able to, and I was really out there, so can everyone else. And we've got a whole community of atheists who used to be Christian Republicans. So of course, like, we are all examples of how much the right can change. We just really have to focus on critical thinking, skepticism, and epistemology. That epistemology has been extremely helpful because I have learned that asking myself, how do I know what I know? I don't actually know anything. So I am
Mhm.
more reserved on what I say. When I was conservative, I would just spout complete nonsense. And it's just like,
You were
without,
it's were you regurgitating just things that you heard and you
yeah,
didn't really
I
know what you were talking
absolutely
about?
regurgitating Fox News talking points, Limbaugh
Mhm.
talking points, and believing them as true. And now, while I do hold some strong beliefs, I'm more reluctant to share them because I need to make sure I know for absolutely certain before I state an opinion, because the last thing I want to be is another irresponsible person who is platforming bad ideas or incorrect information. And if I have ever gotten anything wrong, I try to correct it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and that's probably something, um first of all, I appreciate that. Just you're not a journalist, so you're not held to the same level of journalistic integrity as actual journalists are. But I appreciate the fact that you say that, and it's funny because you mentioned TYT a little while ago. The one thing I do appreciate about them, and you tend to see this more from the leftist sort of outlets, is they will correct themselves when they're wrong. Like they
Right.
do make, they acknowledge that they make mistakes, and then they just reverse it. They report,
Mhm.
here's this is that we're telling you the opposite of what we told you the other day because what we told you the other day was not true, and we have to be correct, right? You never see that on, like, from the right.
You
Fox
don't.
News, and they,
No.
all the mistakes that they made, and I'm not convinced that most of them were mistakes. I'm convinced that a lot of them are just, they know that they're lying. They know that
Intentional,
what they're saying is not
dishonest.
true. But when
Mhm.
they get caught, they won't reverse themselves. They
Nope.
don't correct themselves. And I learned that one of the reasons they can get away with that is because most of the anchors at, like, Fox News, they're not journalists.
No.
They're opinion commentators, right?
Yep.
So they're not subject to journalistic integrity. Bill O'Reilly was, but he was very smart about what he did. But he's not there anymore. All of the, like, the Tucker Carlsons and,
Oh,
who, I don't even know who else they have over there, but none of them are like actual journalists. They're
no.
just,
Definitely
they
not.
get paid for giving their opinion.
Mhm.
But the name of the network is Fox News. So when conservative people watch it, they think that they're watching news, and they think that what's being said has to be true because it's the news, and that's not
Yeah.
how it works.
My my entire family still very Republican, listens to Fox News. I get so many conspiracy theories emailed to me family members like, "Okay, you gotta read this now. How are you gonna deny this?" And it's just like, "Oh
So
god,
what do they
headache."
think about you and what you do?
So, some of them think I'm nuts.
Do they
Uh,
watch your shows? Do they actually, like, watch and listen, or do they just
so
know?
no, they can't handle it.
Okay.
One family member used to, until she's like, "You're nuts. You're doing this country a huge disservice. We're really disappointed in you. What you're doing isn't right."
W
One went as far as to, when I was, having a small debate with them, one went as far to say, "Well, what do you know? You had epilepsy. You just lost your mind. So that's probably why you believe this nonsense now." And it was like,
So are
Wow,
they
thanks.
ever specific about the things that you say that they're claiming are wrong? Like, can you actually have a debate or discussion about a particular topic, or are they just general? Is it just like ad hominem, and
It's
unspecific charges?
ad hominem on anything. They are so quick to, "You're a communist. You're this. You're this." It's
Do
like,
they know what a
"Do you know what
communist is?
communist means?"
Okay.
And I'm not a communist for the record, but,
No,
it's
but they
just
don't
there's
know what that means usually.
no, they don't at all. They're
And
very right.
to be honest, when I first started getting called communist online, I didn't know what it meant either. Like, I had to look it up. Like, am I a communist? What is a communist?
Same.
That's because they couldn't tell me when I asked them. They would just be like, "Oh, you know," they would call me a communist, and then they would call me stupid for asking what a communist is. But
Right.
they couldn't. The reason they were doing that is because they couldn't actually tell me, and I
Mhm.
found that out after the fact. So,
That
again,
and socialist. That's a big scare word for them.
it is, but I'm proud of that. I own that one because I am a
Oh,
socialist.
same. I absolutely.
Totally.
I have no shame in saying I'm a socialist.
The sad thing is, so are they, and they don't realize it. They're part socialists, like especially if
Why do
they're
you say
collecting
that?
Social Security,
Oh,
which is
yes,
a
yeah, you're right.
socialist program.
Mhm.
But they don't know really what socialism is either. It's just kind of a bad word. But enough about them. You seem like a very, in general, to me, you seem like a very positive kind of person. You have a uplifting personality. Has this always been the case, or is this a recent development, or is just this like? Because one of the reasons I like watching you is, just the way that you present yourself. It kind of puts me in a better mood, and I wish more people were like you. So, have you always been like that?
So, yes and no. Yes, I've always been kind of a goofball, like, and, trying to, have the best outlook as possible. But at the same time, when I was politically, I was a very angry person.
Hmm.
So, like, if we're not discussing politics, I was good, happy as can be. But once we started talking politics, if I'm arguing with a liberal, yeah, you would see a more pissed off side to me. Um, I would say I got a better outlook on life after everything that happened. So, first it started with the death of my brother. I sunk into a terrible depression.
Hmm.
It was just I was just gone. Life went to hell. My mental health went to hell. And then I shortly after that developed epilepsy, and I had my first grand mal seizure. I was DJing one night, and I remember it clear as day. I'm sitting there, I'm in front of the computer, I was playing a song, and I was trying to click the next song, and I couldn't figure it out. Like, my brain was, like, trying to go, and it wouldn't go, and the next thing I know, I'm waking up in an ambulance. Now, fortunately, I was hosting a charity event, a Toys for Tots benefit show, and I was around a bunch of Marines, so they were able to take care of me quickly. But yeah, I woke up in an ambulance. They asked if I ever had seizures before. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I had no idea what happened.
Wow.
And then
What and
from
when
that,
was this?
2015, I believe.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I had to start getting on seizure medicine because after I had this grand mal, I started having absent seizures every day, and they were bad. There were, times I would just be in this daze. Like, they really messed me up. They compromised my ability to retain and remember information. Like, now I can't remember shit like I used to be able to. Like, there is definitely brain damage. I can't absorb information like I used to be able to.
Mhm.
Everything just goes right over my head sometimes. And it really sucks because there's times where I'll have to sit here and I'll have to, you know, read the same thing 10 times, or I'll learn it, and then 2 weeks later, I'll have to relearn it again. Like, it just doesn't stick. So, through all that shit happening, uh, I was on over 10 medications a day. I ballooned up to 250 pounds, and I was like a complete zombie. The way I talked, the way I looked, I was essentially living in hell. Well, after coming out of that, I got a more positive outlook. Like, holy shit, I escaped this hell I was living in. My life got much better. Like, now I get to live my life again, and I got more excited and happy. Um, Now, during this time, I was becoming an atheist, but I still had that angry side, and
Mhm.
I did still have, I was an angry atheist. Like I would be debating people on Facebook, like not taking any prisoners.
What were you angry about?
I was believed what I considered to be nonsense my whole life. I was almost, I was indoctrinated and forced to believe all this garbage. And it was just like, I wanted everybody around me to wake up. It's like, why can't they see this? And
Mhm.
I wasn't seeing that what I was doing was not accomplishing anything. Like being so abrasive and mean, I wasn't getting through to anybody. Like all I was doing was pissing people off, losing friends, and getting people to dig their heels in even harder.
Kind of
Uh,
reinforcing the negative stereotype of atheists, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was constantly, like, trying to find people to debate me. So it took me, like, 3 years, of trying to start a YouTube channel before I finally started it, because I couldn't get anybody to talk to me on camera. Um,
Wow.
and,
It's hard to imagine at this point, but wow.
yeah, I was not pleasant. I was very direct. Um,
How
I
old are
always
you, Ethan?
oh, that's, like, the one question I never answer. You
Eh,
found the one question I never answer. I'll
okay.
let you guess. I will answer it on your show. I've never said this on my show before, but I'll let you guess first.
You'll let me guess. Okay. Um, I'm gonna guess a number, and I'm basing it on numerous conversations we've had in the past where you didn't exactly tell me how old you are, but you told me some of your beliefs and your position on age. I'm gonna guess you are in your mid to late 30s.
Wow! That's usually people guess much younger. Yeah, you're right. I am 39.
Okay, that's actually older than I thought. I would have said maybe 35 or 36, but yes, and the only reason I was going to say 35 or 36 is because I heard you say once that people usually guess that you're much younger than you are. Because my
Yes.
real guess would have been something in your 20s, but I already knew that that was wrong based on your reaction. So I knew you were closer to my age, and that's one thing we have in common. Actually, I called into your show one time, The Perspective, and
Mhm.
I mentioned that we have a lot in common in that a lot of people tend to guess a younger age for me, but because of that, I'm a little insecure about being perceived as immature. I
Right.
don't know if you feel the same way, but
I do.
okay.
Uh, and a lot of times people do think I'm immature because I'm goofy and, kinda try to be as fun and loving as possible. Um, I also get
But I don't
accused.
think that's immature, really. I think that's just being fun.
I think so too. I think, and I also get accused of being naive because, I again try to be friendly. Like, oftentimes people in my life are like, "You're too nice. Like, why would you be friendly with a homophobe, or why would you, be kind and patient with a transphobe?" I'm like, someone's got to talk to them. It's
Mhm.
like
Somebody's got to
I
change
don't
them.
agree with them, but you know what?
Now, do you
There's
talk to them with the goal of changing them, or just so that they have someone to talk to?
Uh, both. I won't pretend like I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I don't want to change their mind. I absolutely do, because that would be more beneficial to society if I could
Mhm.
get them to stop, hating gay people or trans people, or stop being so far right. That benefits us all. But I also want to be the person that listens, and because I have found that people are more receptive to hearing what you have to say if you listen to what they have to say and acknowledge what they're saying or try to understand where they're coming from, even if their opinion sucks. At least for me, that's where I've gotten more success uh,
Mhm. Well, there's
in
a lot of people listening to what you have to say. In fact, there's a lot of people in the chat listening to what you have to say. We have a lot of fans. There's Neil 604 Atheist, Aunt Jers in here. We've got Aaron Colson. Um,
Neil the 604 Atheist was actually the first YouTuber to ever invite me on his channel.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
I like his stuff as well. So
me too.
thank you guys for checking us out, by the way. And there's KCA Randy as well. What's up?
Hey, Casey, I haven't
Um,
seen you in a while.
hey, cat. Here's my cat down here saying what's up.
Yeah,
Okay.
mine's right here.
So,
Say hi to
something else
Ivy.
we have in common. Come here, Sammy. Where you at? Here. I think most people know her, but
Hi,
we're
Sammy.
having a cat off, ladies and gentlemen.
Sammy, meet Ivy.
Does your cat watch TV?
Yes, I just took a picture of her watching Top Gun with me.
The original or the I
No, the
guess it would be
original.
the original.
Yeah, would no,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I bring it to the theater with me.
Have you seen the sequel, by the way?
No, I was gonna go see it, was it yesterday? But I promised my girlfriend I'd help her with housework, so, ended up getting some gardening done so we could have some
I
veggies
have
this.
to I can't go to the movies on weekends or when I think it's gonna be crowded. I can only do it, like, in the middle of the week at some matinee when there's not gonna be too many people there just because I have anxiety in the movie
I
theater,
understand
so
that.
I'm probably gonna go see it tomorrow, like, at noon.
That's so one of my favorite things to do is actually going to the movie theater by myself during the day. It's so relaxing. I zone
Yes, it
into
is.
it. I know some people think it's weird to go to movies by yourself. I
Oh,
don't
I
think so.
don't. I do it all the time.
I love it. I go out to eat by myself too. Big fan of that. Sometimes it's just a great way to
Be with yourself.
all be with yourself. Yeah,
Yeah. Sometimes you need me time. Um,
absolutely. Um,
so you mentioned being a DJ a little while ago. Are you I think you have an interest in music in general, right? You're like a DJ, you MC sometimes. Do you
so
rap and dance and sing and all
yeah,
that too?
I'm not saying I'm good, but I do a little bit of it all. So I did. Um, this is so before my life kind of went to shit. I ran a very successful DJ and karaoke business. I had about 10 employees working for me. Um, and I made really, really fucking good money. Damn it. Sorry. I'm trying to limit
You're
swear
all right.
words. Um, and yeah, I had my life figured out, but then all the medical stuff happening and it kind of just um but yeah, so I got started by going out to karaoke every week, and I was obsessed with it. So I was like, you know what? If I'm doing this every week, why don't I find a way to get paid for it? So I started karaoke hosting. Then I started like learning to DJ a little bit. I'm definitely no expert when it comes to DJing. I do know like
Yeah. Move cat.
I'm good at like weddings and corporate events. I know the right music to play. Um, I know how to get the crowd going, and yeah, I'm generally a pretty decent MC. I am a stage performer. I love running across bar tops and dancing and being goofy. So
I
I
need to see
used
that. I
I
need
can
to see
send
that at
you
some point in the future.
I can send you a video of me in pink booty shorts doing the dance to Single Ladies.
Did you learn all the choreography for that?
I spent a little time. It's definitely not like comparable to what Beyonce
Well,
does. It's
no,
kind of
no one's gonna
half-assed.
do it like
But
Beyonce, but
yes, I did have the general overview and did about a minute
wow.
of the dance with two of my friends.
Yes,
So
let's that needs
I
to be seen. That needs to be seen by these eyes, so
I will definitely show you. So what I used to do, so you know how I've done these recovering from religion fundraisers on the anniversary of my channel each year?
Mhm.
Well, when I had the DJ business, I would do Toys for Tots fundraisers on the year anniversary of my DJ business. And each year I would learn a new dance. So year one, I showcased Bye Bye Bye. Year two, I showcased Dirty Pop. Year three, My Love by Justin Timberlake.
Did you
Uh,
actually do the dances to all those?
oh yeah, full
Because I know
dance.
the choreography to Bye Bye Bye.
You do? Oh, we
Yeah,
can totally do it sometime because I know
uh,
the whole thing from start to finish.
wow, I don't I will say I used to know the whole thing from start to finish. When did that song come out? Like 20 years ago?
Oh
Or
god, yeah, like 20 years ago.
yeah, yeah,
I
so
learned it I don't know if you are familiar with or remember Daryl's Dancing Grooves. He was the choreographer for them.
Darren Henson, isn't it?
Yeah,
He
there are
Yeah,
Dancing Grooves.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I remember that.
So I bought his, DVD, and I just sat there over and over again learning each
That's
move till I
awesome.
got it down.
I
And
no one would have ever known this. I mean, I don't you may have shared this on your channel before, but no one watching this right now, I don't think would have known any of this had I not decided to do this interview with you. So
no,
this is
I haven't really talked about it that much. So and then I also, my grandma would teach gymnastics, and each year they had to do a special number. So the one year she asked me to come in and teach the kids Bye Bye Bye. So I've also got
oh,
video of me and a bunch of kids ranging from age 5 to age like 16 doing the Bye Bye dance as well.
I used to do gymnastics back in my high school days. And I also used to actually still do know all of the choreography to Thriller,
I only know
Dragons
part of it.
and Genesis. Yeah. So that's the one I could probably do in my sleep, because I've been doing that
Really? Okay, you're
ever
gonna
since
have
I
to
was a little
teach me it
kid.
because I've always wanted to learn it.
So, all right, so music and stuff, we talked about that. It's interesting
Oh,
knowing about, like, the different hobbies that, the different
may I
guests
give
have.
one more tidbit?
Oh, sure.
So, I also, when I would do, like, karaoke and stuff, I liked to perform, so there were quite a few times where I did get drunk and I did strip to live in La Vida Loca.
Now, how far did you strip down to?
Oh, just to my boxers, I wouldn't get
No.
nude, that would obviously get me arrested, but, um,
Yeah, it depends on the venue.
yeah, that's true, but
So
I liked to be shocking and surprising and fun, so I would
wow.
definitely do some goofy stuff.
I don't have that level of confidence to be able to do some of that stuff. I do, I can get out there and dance around a little bit when I got the alcohol in me. I don't know about a strip tease though. That might
Oh,
be
one more tidbit. I
please.
have, and I have video proof of this, I have rapped on stage with none other than Vanilla Ice at Shark City, in
Now I
Illinois.
have heard that. I have heard that. I think I heard you mention it to Oz once. Or I heard him mention it. I
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
remember.
he made fun of me for it. He's like, "Well, you're
Yeah.
proud of that?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I'm proud of that." How many people get to say they were on stage rapping with Vanilla Ice? Like, that's pretty damn cool.
Vanilla Ice is funny. I remember when he first came out. I'm old enough to remember when he first came out. You probably were really young, but you were around, I think. He was huge when he first came out, and then he had this huge nosedive,
Mhm.
what people calling him fake, sellout, not real,
Oh,
and
yeah, I remember.
all of that. And then he had kind of like a resurgence more recently, I guess, and maybe in the last 5 or 6 years, in terms of people who are nostalgic for that sort of thing. I will say though, Vanilla Ice was a good rapper.
He is. He's
He was an
underrated.
excellent
He knows what
rapper.
he's doing. And he
Yeah.
can freestyle really, really well too. I don't know if anyone's ever seen any of his freestyling. That's how I ended up on stage with him. So he towards the end of his show was like, everyone loves to their opportunity to freestyle or thinks they can do it. So who wants to do it right now? And my buddy was behind me and he like shoved me and I like stumbled and kind of like landed my hands on the stage. He's like, "You come up here." And I was like, "Oh my
It's like
God."
that's like a classic scene from a teen movie where
Yes,
somebody's
absolutely.
like, "Go up there." Yeah, yeah.
So, pulled me up and put on a beat, and I started freestyling. And it was so much fun and so cool and such a dream come true because Ice Ice Baby is also one of my favorite songs to karaoke. So I've always kind of liked Vanilla Ice.
Mhm.
And then after the show, I got invited to their after party at the hotel, but my anxiety kicked in and I couldn't bring myself to go. So I missed
Oh.
out on an awesome opportunity. Like looking back, I'm like, dude, overcome your anxiety. Go to a party with Vanilla Ice, man. What's wrong with you? But
But,
I
I
couldn't.
can't even hate on that because I'm someone who struggles with anxiety myself. I have generalized anxiety disorder, so
Mhm,
I know those moments, and sometimes, no matter how much you want to do it, you can't.
mhm.
You like,
Yeah, it
I
just
just I can't do it. You can't make yourself get over that, even
no.
though you want to,
It
there's, like,
it
nothing you can do.
overtakes you, and a lot of people, and I'm gonna say conservatives especially, don't seem to understand mental health that well, because even I was raised like, don't be a don't I'm not gonna use the word, but we'll just say don't be a wuss.
Mhm.
Men are
Toxic
men, women
masculinity.
absolutely, like,
I think
so
it's a combination of toxic masculinity and religion. It depends on which conservative you're
mhm,
talking to, but they relate to each other, but go ahead.
yeah, like, and when I tried to be more open emotionally, like a family member was like, "Don't you become such a weakling now?" And I'm like, it's not weak to talk about your mental health. Mental health is a real problem, and my entire family, whether they wanna admit it or not, suffers from mental health issues, that's for sure, and, should be seeking treatment, but don't because they just believe they can tough on through it, and they're just supposed to deal with it, and that's in my opinion, I'm no doctor, that's not healthy.
And ironically, it's also weak. Like they're accusing you of being talking not only is talking about mental health not weak, it's a sign of strength. I think hiding from it is weak. Like
I
people are
absolutely now
afraid
I
to
agree
talk
with you.
about it.
But unfortunately, I was one of those people perpetrating toxic masculinity stereotypes. Like when I would see people complain, it'd be like, "Oh, get over it. Stop being a weakling." Like I didn't understand it, and I was so ignorant when it came to mental health, which is sad because I had mental health struggles. So I should have been more compassionate and more aware of what other people were going through. But again, it's just repeating the nonsense I was taught and believing you're just supposed to tough it out. And,
Does your
I always
family right now know about your epilepsy?
yes, they do. Now, I haven't had a seizure in 4 years, yay, um, and I'm not on any seizure medications anymore. So major plus, my life and health has improved. Now, post epilepsy, I my anxiety did get worse, my depression did get worse, and my ADHD got way worse. And unfortunately, I am not medicated because all the medications they've prescribed me thus far just cause me severe anxiety. So I've
Mm.
not had much luck. And there is a non-stimulant ADHD medication that I wanted to try, but unfortunately, it negatively interacts with one of my other medications, so I can't try it. So
It's a
if anyone has
constant
any,
battle
it
figuring that
is.
out, figuring out the combination, the science involved, and there's always ethical issues when conducting scientific research on people because for medicine, first do no harm is the goal,
Mm,
and psychiatry is medicine, and a lot of it is experimentation with trying to figure out the right combinations and the right
absolutely.
dosages and all of that. So I feel for you. I hope that you find something that can help you with that. Maybe there's always new breakthroughs and new research going on and new medications coming out. So hopefully, your condition is manageable. I guess the reason I was asking the question was I was wondering if your family considers that something that you can just like mentally make go away. Like, do they?
No, they're not that ignorant.
Okay.
They know, like, I legit had epilepsy and I needed to be medicated. That's not something they would ever think. It's just the mental health stuff, the depression, the anxiety. They
Mhm.
think that stuff can be, just I don't want to say they don't think it could be prayed away, but they believe it can just be thought away or just ignored.
It cannot, for anyone watching. That's not how that works. That's not
No.
science.
And some good news, I finally found a therapist that I like, courtesy of the Secular Therapy Project. So,
There you
very
go.
excited because I don't know about you, but one of the hardest things of finding a therapist is it's not that I want to talk to someone with the same beliefs as me, but at the same time, I want to talk to someone who's not going to push any supernatural or religious stuff on me.
Well,
And,
hopefully, no doctor is doing that.
you
And if you're
know,
saying you're having doctors doing that, yeah, that's
I
a huge problem.
I've had a counselor before who's like, well, maybe if you, prayed a little bit more or found something to believe in, things might improve, your mental health might improve more. It's like, that was immediately, I'm like, yep, I'm done with this counselor. No way.
Yeah.
Or, you can see the looks people give. Like, when the second you say you're an atheist, you can always see the look in someone's eye,
Mhm.
um,
I've
on what
noticed
they're
it a few
thinking.
times.
And
Not on that level, but I have noticed that.
right.
Yeah.
And like, I don't want to talk to someone who's going to give me that look. I want to talk to someone who's going to, use science-based methodology without any supernatural or BS.
If you have letters behind your name like MD or PsyD or PhD, I hope that that's all you're using is science-based methodology. If somebody is
100%.
using religion or spirituality or anything like that, I'm no longer taking their initials seriously at that point. So I totally understand where you're coming from on that. I do
No,
want to
no,
ask you about your the content that you have put out there, your YouTube channel. And actually you have a couple of YouTube channels because you also have the Ethan and Jenna YouTube channel, which I think is on hiatus now. So is that a permanent hiatus? Do you ever plan on going back to that or what's up with that?
that is I miss it so much because I think a mental health call-in show is very much needed. We were getting some good traction. We had callers all the time. I really enjoyed it, but unfortunately, that show will not be coming back.
Okay. Fair enough, but it's still on there and there's still some good episodes for anyone who is interested. It's the Ethan and Jenna show. And do you think that you'll be resurrecting an idea like that in the future or incorporating that into one of your other shows or
I would like to. I do, but I would rather get somebody who specializes in mental health to
Mm.
do it. Because while I think everyday people should be talking about mental health, and I think us being there to just listen and let people vent is important and needed in the community. I would rather have someone who is more experienced than I and can really give more sound advice.
Yeah, and
So,
kind of like what we were just talking about, having a scientific expert professional on there telling you things that, have
right,
some credibility behind them rather than just
exactly.
people who have
So
opinions. Sure.
if it does come back, I would want to do it in the most responsible way possible because mental health is such a tricky topic, and the last thing I want to do is do any harm to anybody.
I love
At
it. So, let's talk about your other shows then on your main channel, YFNA, The Perspective. You have a call-in show. People call in and give you their perspective on the paranormal, the
all.
supernatural, their religious beliefs. What are some of the what are the two most recurring themes that you get on that show, would you say?
Well, the past couple episodes, we did have a lot of Bigfoot callers.
Wow.
We've had a Mothman caller before. I'd say primarily we get the most paranormal stuff.
Okay.
Um, my favorite episodes are the ones where we get callers, we go from a Christian to a Bigfoot to an alien to the paranormal. Like those are the
Yeah.
best shows when we get a little bit of each.
Complete
And
variety in that way.
exactly. Like, I enjoy those ones the most, and one of the reasons like, I always wanted to have a call-in show, because one of my I don't wanna say issues, but, there are a good deal of people in the community that are so smart and so knowledgeable that I think they forget how to talk to people. Because if you just start going, "Oh, yeah, argument you're doing an argument from ignorant fallacy." To a layman, the
They're
only
not gonna
thing
know
they
what
heard
that
you
is.
say is they heard you call them ignorant, and now they think you're calling them stupid.
Mhm.
And that shuts down the conversation. They don't know what it is. So I purposefully book people who know how to break things down in the most simple way and don't start talking over people's heads. I want my show, there's a lot of great shows out there that appeal to really knowledgeable and intelligent people. That's great for them. I want to appeal to the lay person, everyday people who have no idea what epistemology is or skepticism, and get those people challenging their beliefs.
Wow. So, okay, so that's the perspective. What about the pickup line? This
So
is a
the
show you talk about sex a lot and romance and relationships.
I have so much fun with that show. Hannah, for those that don't know, is my co-host, and I
Hannah
love her
Vaughn,
to
right?
death. Hannah Vaughn,
I'm
yeah,
gonna have to
that
get her too because I do want to talk to her. But
oh, she's awesome. You'd have a great time.
yeah,
She's even more bubbly and goofy than I am. And when I got to like, I feel like she's like my sister. Like, I love her to pieces. We clicked instantly.
whose
So
idea was that show?
mine. So
Okay,
originally, I had a show called Table for Two. It was me and my friend Holly, and it was a dating slash relationship show. Um, and like it wasn't going as well as I'd like. So we were like, yeah, we're gonna stop it. And I'm like, and it wasn't happening on YFNA, it was happening on one of my other channels that I've since shut down.
okay,
Um, so I put out a post. I said, looking for this is what I'm looking for. This is the type of show. And, I got a whole bunch of people reaching out saying they want to host it. And Hannah reached out and she came with references from, Holy Kool-Aid because they're in a relationship among many other people in the community. So immediately I was like, okay, so many people are vouching for, let's do a trial show.
mhm.
Um, and within 5 minutes of doing the trial show, I was like, this is it. This is her. We have perfect chemistry. And I actually canceled all the other auditions. And
Wow,
I just knew right then and there, like, we were a match. So
nice.
right when the show ended, I'm like, "Dude, do you wanna do this?" I'm like, "'Cause you're perfect for it." And she was like, "Oh my god, yes."
You
So,
said it just like that too, didn't you? Dude, do you want to do it?
yes, yeah,
Yeah,
I say dude a lot.
me too.
So, she was all excited. It's a show I am on hiatus on my channel right now, but it is a show that's, every Thursday at 9 p.m.
Noted,
It's
Neil.
Desperate for Guests, I'm generally free.
Yeah.
Neil has been on the perspective as well. Bryce, definitely, when I bring the show back, would love to have you on an episode if it doesn't overlap with The Bryce is Right.
Sure. I mean, I'm very flexible that way. The biggest thing I have going on in my life is school right now, but that's kind of the story of my life. But yeah, I'm generally flexible. I would love to make an appearance on your show or on any of them, frankly. But
So yeah, I have a few shows, and I also have Ask an Atheist. I used to do roundtables every week. Like if you look back about a year ago, every
Mhm.
Wednesday I would have a different roundtable, like Black Atheists roundtable, the Women of Atheism roundtable, LGBTQ roundtable, the International Atheist roundtable, and
Yeah,
but booking like 5 shows a week with that many guests is just so
it's
difficult,
difficult.
so I had to
Yeah.
slow it down and just focus on these 2 shows because the 2 shows I do now, I do put a lot of work into. They take a great deal of time, especially the perspective. That's extremely time consuming.
Is this your
So
full-time job?
no, 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 no. I work in IT during the day.
I don't know how you do it because I mean, I don't even really work. I'm a full-time student and I do this on the side and this is like enough for me, you know. I can't imagine like the energy and the passion and the drive that you have to produce that much material. You also do a podcast as well.
Yeah, I mean, I love doing it. It's really important to me. I'm very passionate about it. Um, I have so many ideas. Like I want to get to a point to it where it is a network, and where I really want to get like a skeptic news channel out there, where it is
Wow.
true skeptic news, where the information is presented with not as much opinion pieces, but so much where it's just here's the facts, here's what you
Mhm.
need to know. Because I don't think there's enough of that out there. But it takes time, it takes more people. I can only produce so many shows, and I am so hands-on that I can't necessarily pass the buck to another producer because I'm just like, nope, I gotta produce it. Like
Gotcha.
I don't even have to be on camera. I just need to produce the show. I'm not good at letting go of the ball.
And you are so you're very hands-on that way. You have produced some of shows where because I think you've had some shows where you're not in it. There's other
Oh,
people in
plenty.
it. Yeah.
I
So
actually for a while I stopped doing the perspective completely, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna
right.
produce it. That's what I like to do, and I'm gonna get put other faces on. And one thing I love doing, like one of my favorite things to do, is finding new people to put in
Mhm,
front of a camera. Because that's
mhm.
essentially what my channel started on, is talking to people who were not these on-camera personalities. I was talking to random people who had never done this before. And if you look now at like Talk Heathen, the Atheist Experience, and nonprofits, you'll see several of those people all got their start on YFNA because I was like, "You're a smart person. I want to put you on camera," and that to me has been my greatest accomplishment with the atheist community is helping get new voices out there and new channels out there, and it makes me really happy that I've been able to contribute that. And
Can you
and
Yeah,
I want
no, I do wanna ask really quickly, before we get because 'cause we're coming up on close, but the content on your podcast hey, Cynthia. Ethan is why I'm on YouTube, so another one. There
that's
you go,
so
Ethan.
Cynthia found my channel because I called in to Talk Heathen, and she started commenting on one of my videos, and she was totally deconstructing what the aw, Cynthia, thank you. I love you.
You
Like
see? You
you've been
see?
so like instrumental and Cynthia does so much for me. All the artwork and thumbnails, that's Cynthia, all our intro videos, that's Cynthia.
Wow.
Uh, very yeah, and, getting to meet her in person was just awesome because we worked together for about a year before we ever got to meet. She was commenting on one of my videos, pointing out some of the inaccuracies, the Christian was making, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Hey, is it okay if I friend you?" And it started with that, we started talking, and I was like, "Hey, our first video together was actually a breakdown of a Steven Crowder. We were reacting to a Steven Crowder video." Um, and from there, she ended up having this idea for a show called 13%. And we started, her and her boyfriend were doing the show together. And yeah, it's a really good show. That's on hiatus. I know they're going to be bringing it back at some point, but it's primarily focused on Black news and information. So yeah, Cynthia is one
So
of the people. I've been really
I
listening
did
to
want
it.
to ask really quickly about your podcast because I started to ask it, but I don't think I completed that thought. What is the content on there, and is it significantly different from what's on your YouTube channel?
No, actually. So
Okay.
all I do is essentially is I take my YouTube streams and I upload them to the podcast. And surprisingly, it's gotten, a good amount of viewership. I actually had a school from the Netherlands reach out to me to interview me because they were putting together a book as a class assignment on the paranormal. So they
Hmm.
wanted a skeptic's perspective. And it's funny, there was a bit of a language barrier, but when they said a little bit about Ethan, Ethan likes to talk about aliens and sex. I was like, well, I didn't say it like
Wow.
that. That's a little off. I don't
I
talk
mean,
about
it's
aliens.
true, I
It's
guess.
true, but just saying I talk about aliens and sex seems a little perverted.
Yeah. Um, so now let me ask you really quickly because there's 3 minutes left, and I'm curious about this. Did you ever actually believe in ghosts or anything paranormal?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
And did you come out of those beliefs at around the same time you were deconstructing your religious beliefs, or was it before that or after?
So the ghosts and the supernatural went away shortly after I became an atheist. I still held on to like the ghost part because I had a few experiences that I couldn't explain, and therefore I was attributing it to, a ghost or something.
Right.
Now I don't believe in anything supernatural or paranormal at all. I do believe there is always a reasonable explanation. We just may not know what it is.
Fair
And
enough.
just because we don't know what it is doesn't mean it is, in fact, the paranormal or the supernatural.
Okay, so you and I are on agreement with that. I think maybe I would say as far as paranormal goes, that's kind of one of those tricky words where depending on how you use it, I do believe that there are things that people perceive as paranormal, but I just use it. It's a word that describes what we don't understand.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
I do think it's natural. Whatever the paranormal is, I'm convinced that it's natural. I
Yeah,
don't
same.
believe in the supernatural. I don't think the
Me
supernatural makes sense. So
exactly.
okay.
And my family does like I'm not going to say who in my family because I don't want to call them out, but let's just say, one family member is insistent that, my brother's out there. They went and saw a psychic repeatedly and medium who is communicating with my brother. And I was infuriated. I was like, give me the name and number. I want to go talk to him. And they're like, no, you're not going to do that. You're going to ruin this. I'm like, you're damn right. They're ripping you off. I'm like, they're like, and
For
I
entertainment purposes only.
exactly, and I got mad because she's paying this person who is lying through her teeth saying she's talking to my brother. And yeah,
Mhm.
I took that personally because I'm sorry. No, like that really upsets me that this family member was being taken advantage of.
I we are really pretty much at the end of the show. There were a couple of things I did want to address. I don't know how much time you have
Go
if you're
ahead.
in
Yeah, I
a
still
time
got time.
crunch. We are existing in a state of one might say crisis in the United States right now. There's a lot of things going on with gun violence, and I don't know if anything is going to be done about it, but what are your feelings about that? Like, are we destined to just kind of stay on this path? Do you think anything will be done about it? And I'm talking the mass shootings in
Right.
Buffalo and in Texas with the school shooting in Texas.
As long
What are your
as
thoughts on that?
as long as channels like Fox News exists and people like Steven Crowder are around, we're not going to make progress. People in America love their guns. Now, can I tell you that I have some perfect solution? Absolutely not. There's, I'll leave that to the people that are smarter than I am. Do I think we can do better and do we need stricter gun regulations? Yeah, because it shouldn't be easier to get a gun than it is a car. Like to me, that's a little asinine. It should be
Yeah.
more difficult. Um, there should be more red flags and common sense gun laws. Um, but Unfortunately, I don't think that Second Amendment is going to be changed anytime soon, no matter how many mass shootings we continue to have. I think
I don't even think it's necessary to change the Second Amendment to get better gun restrictions and
no,
common
you're right.
sense gun laws.
We can do it without that,
But I
without
agree with you. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it either way. I don't
no,
think.
like, in our lifetime, do I think we'll see that? Probably not. I don't think we're going to see that for a very long time. Eventually, yes, but
Where do you? It looks like his transmission froze up there. So maybe
I'm sorry about
he'll. Are you
oh,
still there with me, Ethan?
yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, we can hear you now. Yeah, you kind of glitched and froze for a second.
Oh, my
I can.
Ethernet went out, it went to Wi-Fi, that's weird.
Oh,
My
I
bad.
can still hear you though, but
Okay,
and we can see you now again. So,
okay, cool.
and the last point about the abortion bans that are it seem to be cascading from state to state, starting in the southern states. Where do you see this going? Is this going to reverse itself, or is abortion just going to be banned?
Sorry, so the screen cut out for me. Could you ask that question one more time?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to know where you see these abortion bans going. Is that going to take hold? Is abortion just going to be illegal? Are we going to what's going to happen?
I think we're going to see in some states that it could become illegal, and that's really scary. And I know there's already organizations and corporations starting some funding that, like, if their employees get pregnant, they'll pay for them to go to another state and have an abortion if
Mhm,
necessary, which I think it sucks, but at least there are people out there willing to fight the good fight. I think the idea that a woman or person can't have their own bodily autonomy is crazy. Now, I understand why conservatives believe they're doing the right thing, because I used to think that too.
mhm.
I was Here's the thing, even though I was conservative and I was personally pro-life, I was never completely pro-life for other people because I was still an advocate for bodily autonomy, and while I looked down and used to look down on and frown upon people who got abortions, I
You were never
never
for outlawing it.
no, not at
Yeah.
all.
I was kind of the same way when I was
Like,
religious
I
anyway.
yeah, I was also even though I was homophobic, I was also always for gay marriage. My outlook was
Mhm.
like, "Who cares?" Like, if 2 people love each other, that's really all that matters.
Right.
So
Okay.
those were probably 2 of the more progressive ideals I held. Now I really wish people would stop having babies, like, uh, because
Well,
I wanna be
sometimes it's
careful.
not planned, you know?
No,
Sometimes
no, of course
yeah.
not. I just there are a lot of people having kids that should not have kids
Oh, yeah.
and should consider the consequences before they have them. Obviously, that's can be easier said than done. It's not always that simple, of course.
Mhm.
But if we start teaching sex education at a more appropriate younger age, I think we can make some progress in that area.
What age do you think that should be?
I don't know, but
Okay.
I think it should be taught at a younger age. I would have to defer to probably like a psychologist or psychiatrist and what is an age appropriate to teach that because I
I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist, but I'm gonna say 11.
So, yeah, I was thinking 12, but,
Yeah. Well, I
I
was
don't
thinking
know.
12 too, but the problem with 12 is some people have already started puberty by 12. Some girls
Yeah,
might have
that's true.
started puberty by then, and you want to be teaching it before it happens, not after or like in the middle of it, generally
No,
speaking.
absolutely.
So, but yeah, I am definitely an advocate for sex education. I'm not an
Same.
advocate for abstinence only programs. I think that's a ridiculous idea that's never worked, that no one has ever that's never helped anybody. It's never stopped pregnancies. If anything, it's done the opposite. And yeah. So talk about sex, just like Saul's
And
episode. Let's talk about sex.
if you like talking about sex, you wanna learn about sex, check out the pickup line on my channel. We recently did an episode with student Dr. Ben on STDs. It was extremely informative.
I
One
think
of
I
the things
saw
I
him
learned,
in the chat here as well earlier. I'm
yeah,
not sure if he's still here.
um, I love SDB. Such a
He's
good dude. So smart. Always learning from him. So
Yeah,
really good dude.
I actually just became acquainted with I just friended him on Facebook recently, and only discovered him a couple of months ago. But I tend to agree with everything you said. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
really good.
he'd also be a great person to have on your show.
Uh, Student Dr. Ben, you are the next contestant on the Price is Right. Final question there for you, Ethan. And I asked Objectively Dan this last week, and so I guess it's kind of going to be my new thing for people who have content out there. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Do you still think you'll be doing this or something different? Or have you even
Uh,
given it thought?
I hope I'm still doing it. I hope my channel continues to grow. I hope I can eventually reach my goals and put out, because I have so many content ideas, because I don't want to just have like call-in shows on the stuff that everyone else does. Like I want to do more fun stuff. Like for those who haven't seen the hot seat on my channel, I highly recommend checking
Is
it
that the
out.
hot sauce one where they're trying like
Yes.
chicken wings and
So
stuff like that?
yeah, so it
Okay.
was the first episode, absolute favorite. It was Kenneth Leonard versus Shannon Q, and they debated 3 topics while eating progressively hotter wings. And it was really fun. V LaBianca hosted it, and Shannon Q actually had to defend a Darth Dawkins-like position.
Wow. But
Yes,
who
so
so who
it
won?
oh crap, I don't remember. Oh, Shannon Q won.
Okay. Now, what
Uh
does winning mean? That the other person has to eat more of the hot stuff or
No, so they eat the same amount of wings until they give up. If someone gives up, they lose. But otherwise, at the end of each debate question, so we'll have a serious debate question, a goofy debate question, and a random debate question. Um,
Hmm.
so, like one was a Star Wars versus Star Trek, Apple versus PC. But at the end of each debate, we would have the audience vote, and then we would tally the votes at the end, and then we'd pick the winner. So we'd essentially just deliver hot sauce and hot wings to these people's houses, and they would just have to keep getting hotter and hotter each time.
So you plan on
So
resurrecting that experience for future shows?
absolutely, because to me, shows like that are community building. And we need more fun stuff in the community. We need other relatable content. And that's what I want to make, is stuff that's not just your typical atheist content, more fun, goofy, where you can turn your brain off and just come and have a good time.
Well, I appreciate you coming to have a good time on this particular show. Everything that you do is interesting. You have a lot of good ideas that are in play now, and it looks like we have more to look forward to in the future. Ethan,
I hope
thank you
so.
so much for coming on. I really
No,
appreciate
it's been an
it.
honor. I really appreciate you inviting me. I know we've talked about it for a while now, so I'm glad I was finally able to make it. And I
You still
generally
nervous?
enjoyed one-on-one. I had fun.
You still nervous?
No, no, it definitely, like, the nerves went
See?
away as the
See?
show went on. It was like, "Oh, this is a blast."
I'm very disarming that way.
Okay, so I have to answer, normalizing atheism's question. Ethan, how disgusting is Chicago, pizza, and why are hot dogs even a thing in Chicago if you can't put ketchup on them? Okay, dude,
Is
this
that a
is a
thing?
fact, undeniable. Ketchup does not, under any circumstances, go on a hot dog. It does not belong. I assure you that
Ooh.
is an epistemologically sound position to hold, and in no scenario is it ever okay to put ketchup on a hot dog.
I
And
was
Chicago
going to disagree with you. I was going to disagree with you for a moment, and then I realized I don't have a dog in this fight because I really don't eat hot dogs that much. I
okay.
don't think hot dogs should be eaten, to be honest.
Have
But
you ever had a Chicago style hot dog though?
well, you've described it without ketchup, so I'm already turned off. But no,
Oh,
I'm
come
gonna
on.
go
All right.
with no.
You
What
got to do
what
me
is
a
on a
favor.
Chicago style hot dog?
It is mustard, relish, celery salt, tomatoes, pickles, and sport peppers and onions, I believe,
That's
if
too
I'm
much.
remembering correctly. It's so good. But if if anything, at least have a hot dog with mustard. and not ketchup, please. It's,
I do
if
both
there is one
usually.
sin I believe in, that is ketchup on a hot dog.
What if you do both?
No, under no
No?
circumstances.
Just
No, that's a
okay.
big no-no.
All
That's
right,
that's
noted.
almost not as bad, but it's almost as bad as putting pineapple on pizza.
Oh gosh, man, you see, I thought we were friends, but I don't know now. I'm gonna have to
No, that's
reevaluate
another thing,
this
dude. If
relationship.
you're from Chicago, you do not put pineapple on a pizza. It just doesn't go.
Chicago, got it. I'm from
And
I'm from Queens, so
and
we put whatever we
Chicago
want.
undeniably has the best food in the US.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard it directly from Ethan Michael, Chicago food aficionado. I said
Yeah,
that right, right?
I'm very
Aficionado.
passionate about food. I eat all the time. It kinda drives my girlfriend nuts. She's like,
Well,
"Do you ever stop eating?"
I would love to have you back here the next time we have like a panel discussion on something I think you would be good for if you're cool to come back.
Absolutely. I had a blast. I appreciate you having me.
If you guys enjoyed Ethan Michael, we have links to pretty much all of his social media in the description below. And if you've enjoyed this show, definitely hit the like button, subscribe to Tang, the Atheist Network group, if not already subscribed. You can catch me here occasionally on a semi regular basis. When I do show up, it's on Tuesdays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for producer Oz, producer Wes, Sunny Shell, my name is Brycearonee. Have a good morning, have a good afternoon, and have a good night. I'll see you guys next time on The Bryce is Right.
Good night.